Breaking right now, the homeless woman with her child in the car accused of fatally mowing down a pedestrian on the crowded Las Vegas Strip. She was in court today. Lakeisha Holloway showing little or no emotion during her brief appearance in court. Clark County District Attorney Steve Wolfson goes on the record from Las Vegas. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Happy holidays to you, Greta.
And same to you. Before I ask you about what happened in court today, I know there are a number of people who were injured. We have one woman who tragically died, but there were some who were injured. Do you know if are they all out of the woods now, the ones who are injured, or are there still serious injuries?
Greta, I think there were about 35 other people besides the lady that lost her life that were injured, and a few of them critical. My understanding is there's still 2 or 3 that are in critical condition.
All right, now let me talk about today. Today was a very brief court appearance. I assume she was in the courtroom about how long? A couple minutes?
If that. It was an arraignment, a very formal court appearance. Her lawyers confirmed as her lawyer, and they asked for a 30-day status check before the preliminary hearing would be set.
Just so that the viewers understand, you've charged three counts right now, one of which is murder because the woman from Arizona died. But that's just sort of to hold her, right? That when it goes to the formal charging, if you have a grand jury system in Nevada, that you've got 35 people who are injured, so at least we can expect more charges.
You know, I think so. We initially charged murder, child abuse, and leaving the scene of an accident. But, you know, this case is only about 72 hours old. It's still under investigation. As you can imagine, it's an incredible crime scene. The crime scene stretches for hundreds of yards, a few city blocks, a lot of forensic evidence, and a lot of witnesses to interview. I mean, frankly, we're talking about the Las Vegas Strip, where there were hundreds of people. So it's a complicated investigation. It's a huge investigation. So I'm confident that as more and more information is provided to my office, there will be additional charges.
Two-part question. One is you've charged an intentional crime, that she intentionally tried to mow them down, and I want to know what leads you to believe it was intentional, and secondly, whether the alcohol drug screening has come back to show whether or not she was impaired in any way.
Well, let me take them backwards. First of all, the blood test has not come back. So we don't know what was in her system. She said she was not under the influence of drugs or alcohol, but we have to wait for the blood test. The first question was, what again, Greta? I'm sorry.
What makes you believe it was intentional and not like a defective accelerator or something else?
Thank you. Well, I've seen the video surveillance camera photographs, and they are quite compelling. We had about over 20 cameras that were monitoring the area at the time, and the quality of the pictures are incredibly good, and you can tell by the behavior of this vehicle that this just wasn't an accident. These were actions by a person who acted deliberately. The video shows her driving from the street, then onto the sidewalk and into groups of people, and then proceeding further down the sidewalk, then back onto the street, and then making another sharp right turn into a crowd of people crossing an intersection. So we believe the evidence is compelling that these were intentional acts.
Do you have any explanation, I know what it is earlier, but why she changed her name in October to Paradise Morton? Do you have any information on that?
Not as of yet. There's a lot of authorities looking into her background, but I don't have any information in that regard.
Sir, thank you very much for joining us. I know it's a really tough case, and you know, in so many ways. I know that this is awful, especially so close to Christmas. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Happy holiday.
The On the Record legal panel is here. Former homicide detective and criminal defense attorney Ted Williams and former prosecutor Katie Fink. Ted, you know, one person was killed and 35 were injured, some still critically. I mean, the number of lives are devastated by this.
Yeah, you know, and it's such a sad commentary. The question is, what was the motive? Greta, rational people don't take an automobile, use it as a weapon, and drive it into people and injure them. So I, as a defense attorney, I need to know more about this woman's history. I want to find out specifically about her mental history. We know that she had a 3-year-old child in the car, And so all of those things, it makes it a very sad story.
Katie, your thoughts on this?
Well, as a prosecutor, I don't really need to know more about her story, and as we heard from the DA, I can rely upon the circumstantial evidence by way of the video surveillance and the camera stills. This woman avoided streetlights and poles, but directly aimed for people. If any of the 3 critically injured patients, or victims, end up dying, she's looking at more murder charges. Attempted murder is also on the table for at least 30 to 35 more counts. Frankly, I'm not interested in wanting to know whether, she was depressed at the time, whether she was upset that she had been sleeping in her car and had been led away or driven away by security. This woman mowed down people intentionally, and she should have to pay for what she did.
It's unthinkable. I mean, you picked probably the most crowded sidewalk you could find in the country to do it. I mean, in Vegas, it's very troubling. The woman who's killed has 3 kids.
Absolutely. Some families are certainly in crisis during this holiday, but I have to disagree with Katie. I do need to know about the mechanical aspects of that automobile. That needs also to be looked into. I'm not making excuses for this woman, but as a defense attorney, there's so much that we need to know that we do not know. We don't know what the blood alcohol content was. We don't know if she was on drugs or what.
Which incidentally, Katie, if she's on drugs, that doesn't excuse it. Doesn't excuse it. I mean, the only thing that could possibly excuse it if there was some incredible mechanical problem wrong with her car or something that she didn't know or had no reason to know about. But, I mean, being on drugs or on alcohol, that's no excuse.
It's not a defense, and if there's something wrong with the car, we didn't hear that, guys. We know that she pulled up to a valet, dropped the car off, told them to call 911, and then she left her 3-year-old daughter in the back seat. Doesn't sound like somebody who said, oh my gosh, did something happen to my brake system? And because of the absence of that, it leads me again to believe that she knew exactly what she was doing.
The question is, did she know the difference between right and wrong at the time that she committed these offenses? I don't know that. This is where health care providers, mental health care providers have to step in.
You got a real hard sell.
Oh, it is a hard sell. I agree with you. I don't disagree with that.
Anyway, Ted, Kitty, thank you both.